At home on every rural road, Hyundai Country Calendar.
I just can't do the maths on killing small fish. It just drives me nuts. Wastage does my head in.
A Hawke's Bay fisherman has reinvented the fishing net.
So that's what our markets want to see. They want to see sustainable catch, sustainable fishing. And if we can get that up to nearest possible 100%, there's a good future.
At Ahuriri Port in Napier, the pleasure craft, large and small, mix with the commercial fishing boats that load and unload alongside the marina. Carl Waugh has been fishing since he was a boy. He's fished commercially for nearly 20 years.
Dirty.
What's the swell direction, do you know?
I think a bit of northeast.
Oh, that's perfect.
Should be a nice day out there.
With a ton of ice in the hold, Carl's now ready to take his chances in the bay.
We just headed out to grab a bit more gurnard. So I'm heading out to about 45 metres thereabouts, about 9 miles out from port, 9 or 10 miles out from port. Weather's looking great today. It's a good start. We'll probably have a bit of sea breeze this afternoon, so it might get a bit lumpy on the way home. My grandfather used to take me trout fishing on Lake Taupo. I caught the bug then. I've been enchanted by the ocean ever since. I certainly find it a very reflective environment when I'm out here. You're out here with nature, and it does give you a chance to really reflect on meanings of life and where you are going with it. Yeah. Well, you can probably imagine I spent a few hours sitting in my chair. I used to have one that faced forwards, and it was pretty uncomfortable on a long trip. So I was helping a friend out, did some work on his boat on the slipway one day, and there was a lazy boy in the waste bin. So I thought, I'm okay with a bit of dumpster diving. That looks pretty comfortable. So yeah, recycled. Very nice. A little bit dangerous at times in a hot afternoon sun. If you're not careful, you can doze off.
Carl began his career fishing for the big factory boats, but bulk harvesting of large volumes of fish didn't always sit well with him.
I guess you start commercial fishing and there's a thrill and a rush of seeing a lot of fish. And then the next experience I had after that was just realising, just looking down at the deck of the boat and going, wow, each one of these fish, that's a life. How do I justify my life on the planet? Look at all these lives I've just taken in the name of gathering food.
Fishing in a more sustainable way has reignited Carl's passion for his chosen line of work. He's been fine-tuning a new way of fishing that increases the survival rate for undersized fish.
So before, we just used to put a rope through the end of this netting, and it would just be a closed-off sock, and the fish would just build up in a sausage in there. And the ones that were trying to get out were trying to force their way through the holes in the mesh here. But with this mesh, the way it is, it's pulsing underwater as it comes on-load and off-load as you drive through waves. And so it can trap and scratch fish as they get out, if they can get out, because if it's being held tight, it may not be a big enough hole.
So Carl designed a steel cage with holes carefully measured to release small fish.
The fish now gather up in the cage here. I've set this gap to be size for gurnard that I want. Anything smaller can just fire through there. Anything that's bigger than that hole is going to get stuck in here. The key is letting them go on the sea floor. They swim in. If they're not what we like, they swim out and they carry on their business, none the worse. The goal going forward is not to kill a single animal that we haven't specifically put on our shopping list.
Carl will tow the net and his cage for an hour and a half. The plan is that the vast majority of worthless, undersized fish will make their escape through the gaps in the cage before being brought to the surface.
That's pretty much as we wanted. 3 or 4 bins of nice gurnard there. There's been just a couple fall out as we've lifted that gear, so just trying to recover those. Not that I mind the seagulls having a feed, of course, but they're good sized fish, so let's grab them. There's about 30 decent gurnard in one of these bins, so I think we had 3.5 there, so that's just over 100 nice gurnard, and we've got 5 little ones here. So because there's no minimum size for commercial on gurnard, we'll keep those. They'll go as fish and chips for either our family or someone that is okay with small fillets, but no wastage. I'll take the cage off, we'll do another run, and you can have a look at why we use the cage.
By repeating the trawl using just the net without the steel cage, Carl expects to catch a much higher percentage of small fish.
I would be expecting, instead of 5 small fish, probably 30. We've got a bit of a sea breeze coming in, so we'll make this our last for the day and get going before it gets too sloppy on us. So we've got far less fish because of the conditions, but the interesting thing will be the percentage of smaller to larger fish. So just have a bit of a nosy. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 small fish. It hasn't had the chance to spawn, it hasn't had the chance to get up to marketable standard or be a enjoyable catch for recreational fishermen. It's wastage that we've got to work towards weeding out. At our first tow we did about 105 nice fish for 5 smalls. This one we've done about 30 nice fish for 15 smalls. So the great thing about the cage here is we're leaving these small fish to grow, fatten up in next year's stock. They get to breed, they get to feed future generations.
And Carl has plans to make his cage even better.
So the next phase is automating screening fish on the sea floor.
So what have you got on the boat at the moment?
I think we did 70 on the first and 20 in the second, so about 90 of gurn.
Okay.
There's not much meat.
For Napier fisherman Carl Waugh, most days begin with him and his wife Sarah meeting to plan the juggle of catching and selling their fish.
Fishing is not a 9 to 5 scenario for weather or for fish. You never know what you're going to come up against. I can be fishing one day, put a log through the net, and then I'm out of action until I can repair that or get another net online. Your fishing doesn't observe statutory holidays.
And it's a seasonal thing too, like fishing in summer is different to winter because of that seasonal component, and then within that there's weather within the seasonal component, you know. Some weeks the weather will be fantastic, sometimes it's 10 days of bad weather. So there's that, there's keeping customers happy, there's what the market is doing if we're sending fish into Auckland, you know, what the prices are like. So it's having all those balls in the air at once, trying to make the whole thing work, which is, it's huge because you can't plan anything. So
And some things you have to plan. So like
Yeah.
if you're going to have an audit for a compliance, you know, you've got to just throw a dart at the board and name a date. And
yeah,
you've just waited all week for that day to go fishing, and yeah, it's the day that you've got to do some compliance work or something.
Working for themselves, Carl and Sarah have found ways to keep costs down.
We're pretty small, as you can see from everything we're doing. It's pretty boutique, and we don't really have the economies of scale to get into a full-scale factory. But we have enough space here in the fish room to be able to process on board, so it's not really a common thing within the industry. This works for us. It means we can stay just Sarah and I operating, less complications, and we can do enough product down here that it gets by with what we're catching.
Despite catching fewer fish now than when they were fishing for the factories, the couple's better off.
Because we're selling direct retail to our customer base, that pricing structure and being vertical in nature allows us to earn as much, if not more, from what we do. It just means less time at sea, more time down here, which is good. More family time. I'm home in the evenings, so that's working good, and it's less physical strain on me, less wear and tear on the plant and equipment.
yeah.
Hey. You ready for that? We're sure.
Yeah, yeah. Beautiful. Thank you for that.
Right.
See ya.
I'll give you a text after the airport's done.
Okay. We've lived here for 7 odd years now, and through contacts, kids at school, local businesses, we've just built up a customer base, and people love the idea that they can eat fish without guilt, really. People feel good about eating our fish. Two main customers are Tangaroa Seafoods and Ahuriri, so they're awesome. They sell lots of our fish. That's relatively new. Hi. Fish. It's yours? Yep, thank you. Yours? Yep. So there's 21 altogether. Yep. I'll drop that other 10 off tomorrow morning before you open. Yeah.
Another of their regular customers is the West Shore Beach Inn, run by Jeremy Bayliss.
Jeremy is wild on the idea of sustainable fishing, so he's really enthusiastic. His waitresses are always telling our story, local, sustainable.
To think that originally our fish was maybe 13, 14 days old, and we thought that was fresh. Now it's literally, they're off the boat, it's here.
Hiya.
Hey, Sarah.
Hey.
How is it, eh?
I mean, the downside to that is there was a period this winter for 10 days when they couldn't fish, so we had no fish. It was great to be able to tell people why. It wasn't just, you'd misordered or something. The story behind it was we only buy it off these people. They live down the road and they've got a great story. And not only that, I mean, they're lovely people as well.
Across town, Carl's paying a visit to the team at Ramage Sheet Metals, who built the steel cage he's been fishing with.
Our cage is working pretty well at the moment, but at the end of the day, it's still just analogue technology. You make a hole, something's either small enough to go through it or it stays behind. So the next phase is automating screening fish on the seafloor. This is about selecting 100% of what we want to take home. So no bycatch, nothing that's not on your shopping list comes to the surface.
The Mark II version of Carl's cage is in development, and if the old version is analogue, this new one will be fully digital.
Just thinking with this front one, you want independent doors opening, so the windows open at the same time.
What we'll have is fish coming into the net and down like a drafting race that you would draft sheep through. There's 3 different scanners. The initial phase is they get scanned for size. From there, the smaller fish that we're targeting will go through the drafting race. The scanned image will be relayed to software. That software is relayed to our shopping list. And if it's on the shopping list, it gets kept, and if it's not on the shopping list, it just carries on through, asking itself, what the heck just happened? I scribble down a whole lot of rough ideas, and I bring it to people like Ramage here who know how to make things work, and they put up with me. they suffer me with my ideas and trying to work out how to get the components together.
Rather than going to sea for days at a time, Carl's kept his fishing hours family-friendly. Carl and Sarah both have older children from previous relationships, as well as their 2 young girls.
It's really important to be there with your kids at one end of the day or the other, to either say good morning or what's happened in the day, good night.
You even said that you'd start making school lunches.
Sarah's daughter, 23-year-old Denby, keeps horses just down the road from the family home, but she too has done her time at sea.
I was fishing for just under 4 years, straight out of school, going out on the big boats, the factory boats. That was hard. It was awful. I was seasick for my first 10 days and crying for my mummy. But I knew that I had to set goals and put some money away, and just bought a new horse float. I've got a few horses, 15.
Denby's seagoing days are behind her, but Carl's aren't. Fishing is his life, although not all the fish he catches are for the restaurant table.
I think just drop in where we left off the other day.
Yep.
There's reasonable mix and stuff there. So.
Today, Napier fisherman Carl Waugh is heading out into Hawke Bay with Kerry Hewitt from the National Aquarium.
Today we're doing shorter tows. We are trying to pick up fish alive for the aquarium.
Traditionally, trawling's not a method we could use to harvest fish and keep them alive. because they're so badly damaged from being crushed in the nets and so forth. With the way that Carl's set up, all the small fish tend to escape. The fish that are left there are in good condition, they're not crushed together, and there's a high survival rate with them in the long term. That high enough?
That's the one.
We're just going to select out some of the fish we want.
That's a good effort for a short tow for us, and those fish are looking good, so get going, get that back into port.
When fish are brought up from the depths, any air inside them expands. That air needs to be released so the fish can swim and survive.
You see the air coming out? That's coming out of the air bladder, because you come up from depth, it's increased the air mass in the bladder. That's why he floats upside down, same with the rest of the fish there. Now with the air out, he can go down. The fish are looking really good. Places like the aquarium here are quite important to help educate people about what is actually in their backyard, in the seas, just what they can find around about. Many people don't have the opportunity to get to sea and see what's actually been talked about and able to see these critters hanging out in natural environments.
It's really satisfying. You know, we put a lot of effort into taking care of our fish, and the sheer fact that Kerry can swim them here in the aquarium, it's just the validation for all the work that you do.
Carl believes educating people about our marine life and the fishing business will go a long way towards reconnecting the industry with the community. But that requires the industry to be completely transparent. Today he's installing a satellite system for monitoring the boat's position and everything that lands on the deck. Darren Gard is working on the trial of the vessel monitoring system across some of the inshore fleet.
The primary focus for the smart cameras in this project is to actually measure discards and activities on board, so we can better grasp the volume of fish species coming on board and match it with their catch efforts. Gurnard, flounder, sole, yep, no, that looks pretty good, Carl.
For us, it just opens up a whole new world. We can demonstrate the provenance of where this product comes from. Anyone that has any query about what I do on a day-to-day basis, here it is. Help yourself. You can click on the track to see how fast the boat's going, how slow it's going, what came aboard. Yeah, so it removes all the doubt. It really opens it up, which is nice.
And talk of community around the Wharves fishing business is not just lip service. When Carl and Sarah catch fish that won't bring a good price at market, they give it away to community leaders, like Pacific Church leader Tau Sapati.
To it.
We exist because of the support from the community around us. So a part of our process is to support community around us back. So Tau and family have helped us at different times when we've been processing fish. They've come down and helped to go out and clean and pack. We really like what they do in the community, supporting people that are coming in for seasonal fruit picking through their church organisation. So we're more than happy to get into this mutual arrangement. It really works well for both parties.
This was from Carl and Sarah again. Okay. Hey boys!
These people will take in fish that we've had surplus, and you know to the bottom of your heart that that will be appreciated and enjoyed. I like that feeling, yeah.
Just for you guys, just nice, fresh. Beautiful, eh?
The community goodwill extends to local fisheries staff too. The Ministry for Primary Industries is very interested in the development of Carl's new net.
What we need to find out is how effective your gear is and just do the comparative analysis.
So it might be just a case of get a little bit of data flowing, see how that's tracking, and then design the scientific research of it further from there.
Alicia McKinnon from MPI is hoping to get an observer out with Carl to gather data on the cage's worth.
What Carl's doing is really innovative, so we really want to see how effective that is. And guessing what I've seen already, it's a pretty clean way of fishing. I just admire the time and effort that he's been putting into this, and it's really good to see. It'd be nice to see it across the board.
Carl and Sarah have managed to make their business work in with their home lives. And that means being able to take time out for the things they love, like fishing at Lake Taupo.
I love the ocean, I love the lake, and I really love loving fishing. Yeah, it's a real joy to see your partner so involved and so passionate about something that he does.
It recharges my battery. I just love the nature. The beauty that we have here in this country is second to none. My neighbour fishes avidly, recreationally, so if I'm out there not doing a good job, what's that go down like when he leans over the fence and says, he's been out all day and caught one carwhale or one gurnard. His family's missed out on an experience of being on the water and enjoying the very same process that enthralls me. Yeah, I take it seriously. I'm part of a community and part of a nation that loves fishing. My hope is to get the concept of no bycatch, completely selective fishing out there, get the technology open sourced, access funding to develop that, fully and thoroughly, and then enjoy watching industry blossom and be a favourite of the nation again, I think we've sort of been way out of the limelight for a long time, and get this abundance back to our waters that we used to have.